Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 4 of this podcast that we're doing. Today, I have my co-host Leira. JM might be joining us later in the episode today. Hoping he can join us because we do have some interesting things to talk about today. And before we talk about like current NHL news and whatever, I kind of wanted to bring up a tweet that I saw about Toronto Maple Leafs favorite reporter Steve Simmons and that whole man.
Yeah.
This guy is such a tool. That's all I gotta say. I'll read what this whole situation is about, anyways.
All right.
So there was a column written by Steve Simmons. I want to believe October 9th. Don't quote me on this, but I will quote what Steve Simmons had to say in the Toronto Sun. So he was saying how no one wants to say this because of the politically correct police and all, but those who coached Akim Aliu must cringe every time they see him in a news report or a commercial talking about what's wrong with hockey. Like he would know. By my count, Aliu played for 23 teams in 9 different leagues in 12 professional seasons and rarely finished any season with the same team he started with. If that was color related, how is it that Wayne Simmons spent just about the same 12 seasons playing in the NHL? Right away when I read that, I was like, what is the, like, what's his agenda here, right? Like, there is no reason that he needed to attack Kim Liu like that. And there's no reason that Wayne Simmons should have been brought up in this conversation. But Wayne Simmons did have this to say on Twitter. Saying, just a quick message to the hockey world. I usually don't have time for this, but tonight I do. I really don't appreciate what you're trying to do, Steve Simmons. Your article was asinine and in no way reflects the real plight that myself, Akeem, and other players of color go through. He also says you are minimizing the pain and suffering and dismissing the actual fight that we as a people actually have to endure just to even be accepted in the game of hockey at a lower level, never mind the professional ranks. Do not ever use my name or any other player of color's name to try and make your point. We will no longer sit by quietly as our characters are assassinated, Steve. This will only make us stronger and speak out against people of your nature. If you've been trying to be cool or funny, you missed your mark. You've been warned. P.S. This is me being nice. And then today, or no, what is today's the 11th? So yesterday morning, I didn't even see this tweet. So yesterday, Steve Simmons links a article that he wrote on the Toronto Sun about Wayne Simmons' journey to 1,000 NHL games, and saying Simmons must have forgotten this. So
Okay.
right away, like I'm like, you know what? No, I ain't gonna be quiet about this. And I commented on Steve Simmons' Twitter saying like, this is absolutely disrespectful. You know what I mean? Because it is. There's no reason that this even had to happen. It's just bad journalism. Like, and I said, Maple Leafs, you guys need to speak up for your player, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I said, this should not be continuing to happen, especially knowing Steve Simmons' track record with trying to get reactions from players, because that's what he's trying to do. Kind of like what we were talking about off stream. He's literally the real life version of clickbait.
Yep.
And I just said it's awful journalism. And I said Wayne deserves better than this. And it's not just Wayne. Akim Aliu deserved better than to be criticized in that column that he wrote. Simmons deserves better. And all the other players that Steve Simmons has gone after in his journalism career deserve better too. So shame on you, Steve Simmons. I hope that this is gonna like it. It doesn't seem like it's a big news story, but his name has been in big news stories before, and this can't keep continuing to happen. You know what I mean? There's people who are better journalists than this guy and deserve more of a chance than Steve Simmons. So that's my take on that. You know, it is kind of, I guess, a political take, whatever you want to say about it, but it's wrong to me. I mean, what do you think about this?
You know, whenever I hear people like Steve Simmons talk about stuff like this, and basically undermining what guys like Akeem Aliyu and Wayne Simmons are trying to fight for, it's very irresponsible in my opinion, because you, like I said earlier, like what you said earlier, he's literally just trying to get a reaction from these players, you know, so that he can further paint them in a negative light. And it's weird that he even brings up this Aliyu thing, because like, what is he trying to say? That, oh, well, Akeem Aliyu was a bum in the NHL, so we shouldn't have to listen to whatever he says, which is bullshit, because what right do you have to tell a player that, you know, just because their NHL career wasn't spectacular, they have no right to talk about their experiences and what they felt was, and I honestly, I believe it. I totally believe it, that what they felt was they were discriminated and not respected well enough in their community, in a community where you'd expect to be included all the time. So, in terms of what I think about the article itself, I just read it. I just read it today. It feels very irresponsible, and it's absolutely unnecessary, especially with everything else going on in the hockey world. Like, what are you hoping to achieve with this article, other than fanning the flames that shouldn't even be lit in the first place? I don't like it. I disagree with everything he says. Wayne Simmons pretty much nailed it on the head. You know, like, who are you to like try to, you know, demean what we're fighting for and speak for us? And, you know, the fact that he's having to use Wayne Simmons as kind of like an example for his argument, like, it's just weak and bad journalism. Because, like, what exactly are you trying to prove here? Like, what do you
Yeah,
gain? What do you gain from undermining these guys and basically telling them that, oh well, because you're a storied hockey player, because you're a bum, we don't have to listen, or we have to cringe to whatever we have to say. And then he tries to double down on it by, you know, bringing up that article he wrote about Wayne Simmons reaching 1,000. Like, Wayne Simmons doesn't owe you any respect, buddy. You're using his name for an argument that he doesn't agree with, without ever asking him if it was okay to use his name for it. And then you're doubling down by basically saying, "Oh, well, actually, you should be on my side because this is what I wrote about you a couple of years ago." And it's like, I don't know. It's very asinine. It's such a cheap way to get interactions. You know what I mean? Like, it's just, I find it completely unnecessary and just overall bad journalism. I completely disagree with it.
yeah, and you know what? Like what Wayne was saying, how Steve is basically minimizing the pain and suffering and dismissing like people that have to endure this kind of stuff in not only the national leagues, but like, you know, children that are learning how to play the game. And
Yeah,
you hear stories about like racism being thrown at these players even if they're kids. It's disgusting. There's no place in any sport for that type of, you know, like for that type of
it's
behavior.
garbage. It's
it,
garbage.
it
That's
is
what it is.
garbage. You know what I mean? And I bet you, like, you know, hockey has a reputation, I guess, of being a quote unquote white sport. But you know what? Hockey, I feel like in the past few years has really been trying to spread the message that the game is for everyone, and it should be for everyone. Like, what is this garbage with like calling these kids like racist names, or trying to minimize the effort of what Wayne Simmons or Akeem Aliu or what Nazem Kadri or what other players are trying to do for the future children that want to play this game. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
And it's garbage journalism from Steve Simmons. Like, honestly, I hope the guy is canned. You know what I mean? There's no need to have this in any type of professional sports and professional journalism, period. So I'm gonna move on from this topic because it kind of gets me a little heated. But what like it's just, it's so like disappointing to see that this is still happening from the same guy that
and
keeps putting out this garbage.
Before we move on, I just want to like point out, so anyone who's listening out there who may think that, who may still for some reason think that racism in hockey doesn't exist. I came to Canada 15 years ago now. Actually 15 years ago exactly on, I believe, Saturday. And first started playing hockey. I faced a lot of criticism for it, and I'm not even a hockey player. You know, people looked at me and they said, "Oh, well, you know, you're Filipino. Why aren't you watching basketball, or why aren't you playing basketball or soccer?" And you know, a lot of people might just think it's just, you know, ribbing, or just, you know, people just having some fun, just a joke. Don't take it, but it doesn't feel good to be told that you have to like a certain sport because of your color or your ethnicity. So the fact that we are now in 2022 and this type of issue is still being demeaned or belittled, it's absolutely appalling to me. And I can only imagine how much worse it is for kids who are actually in the program, who are dealing with much like worse racial attacks, not just verbally. Sometimes, you know, their equipment gets vandalized with slurs, and no child, no matter what age or color they are, should ever have to put up with this kind of nonsense. I don't think it belongs in the game ever. I don't think it belongs in any sport whatsoever. So if you're watching this podcast and you're thinking, "Oh, they're just being woke," fuck you, because this happens all the time. And for people like you to say that it doesn't happen, or that it's just a joke and we should like take it lightly, you have no idea what it's like to be told that you shouldn't be here or you shouldn't like this because of your color. So I just want to close this segment out with fuck you to anyone who demeans and like belittles people's experiences with this type of stuff, because it is real, and it happens to probably people you know that you just don't know about, because a lot of us, especially kids, we choose to be quiet because we are told that it's normal and we have to deal with it, when it really it's not, and it has no fucking place in the game, no place in any sport. And 2022, guys, we should be doing better by this point. That's all I want to say about it.
Yeah, you totally hit that on the head, dude. Like it's time for people to start accepting that like sports are games and games are for everyone. You know, it shouldn't matter your race. It shouldn't matter your gender that you choose to be, or your sexual preference that you choose, or that you are. You know what I mean? Sports should be accepting for people, because sports are for people by people, right?
Exactly.
And it's meant to be to watch and to, you know, be entertained by it. Like there's no need for
this tribalism, I guess, that we have going on.
Well, exactly. There's no need for it. It's just very, like, for myself personally, it's just very disappointing when I see this. You know, it breaks my heart for kids that are really trying to get into the sport, and then this kind of shit happens. Like, it's awful. Like, and for people that are experiencing racism in sports, or you know, even being assaulted. And actually, you know what, like, since we're on heavy topic, I do want to talk about Hockey Canada next.
Yeah,
But to continue what I'm saying, it is very disappointing, and I hope that all parties can do better, you know. and
yeah,
and and again, I don't blame Wayne Simmons for sticking up for himself, for Akeem,
yeah.
and for people of color in the hockey community that really get, like, torched by
Yeah,
privileged people.
yeah. But I have no idea what it's like to
No,
be.
they don't.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so we're gonna move on to Hockey Canada and some big news that came out today. So there has been a resignation, and I just want to
Yeah,
make sure that I'm getting this correct. So basically, their whole board of directors have stepped down, and Hockey Canada's CEO, let me get some names here. Scott Smith, who is Hockey Canada's CEO,
yeah.
after being CEO for 3 decades, or not CEO, but climbing the ladder for 3 decades, has stepped down. And it was about time. It was
Yeah.
really, it's what started off as a small fire. It became very noticeable, like a
Full on
building,
bushfire
like
now.
pretty much an engulfed building,
Yeah,
you know. And you could see when sponsors were starting to pull out of sponsoring Hockey Canada, that it was a serious thing. They were going to lose a lot of money based on this. And so it's a step in the right direction today for Hockey Canada. And the obviously the questions are now are where do they go from here? And let me tell you about, like, just how awful this situation is. So this has been going on for this past year with Hockey Canada, where there was a woman who was alleged during the 2018 World Juniors that she was sexually assaulted by 8 CHL players.
yeah.
And what Hockey Canada seemed to do was they were like, here's some money, stop bothering us, kind of thing. They were trying
I
to
believe it
sweep
was
it under the rug.
3.5 million. I believe was the number. Let me just see if that's factually correct. But I mean, we're in agreement here, right? That's
Yeah.
definitely hush money.
Oh yeah, no, it is for sure. And most people, even if you don't watch hockey, but you watch, like, the news, like, can agree that it's hush money, and it's absolutely disgusting
Yeah,
that a sports organization like Hockey Canada would do that, you know. And apparently, according to this article by Graham Bruce on CBC, uh, says that Hockey Canada has paid millions of dollars for sexual abuse settlements since 1989. 3 decades of this garbage.
unbelievable.
You know what I mean? And you know, people might say, well, this goes back to the Chicago Blackhawks scandal with Kyle Beach.
Mm-hmm.
You know what? Kyle Beach was someone who decided that they weren't going to be John Doe anymore, and they were going to publicly come out to say what they had to say, because no amount of money is going to take away those feelings and those awful events that you go through personally in life. And it was so important for the hockey community to hear Kyle Beach's story. And you could really feel that people really felt sorry for what had happened, for what he went through during that 2010 Stanley Cup run with that Blackhawks team. And the fact that those players, even if whether they knew or not, you know what I mean? It took over a decade for this to be even talked about, which was really sad. And then news about Hockey Canada started coming out that I remember. And I was like, oh, well, I bet you that this woman that was trying to get a settlement claim with them isn't the only one that went through it. And now seeing this, I didn't even know that this has been happening since 1989.
Yeah.
So Hockey Canada is going to get a new face, new board of directors, and they got to really take a look at themselves in the mirror and be like, where do we want to take Hockey Canada? And what do we want to teach these young men? Because it was mostly the young men that were doing this.
Yeah. You know what? That's the exact same question I had. I mean, it happened. This has been going on since 1989, and you had said earlier the CEO Scott Smith, I believe his name was, has been in that position for 3 decades. So this guy has overseen a lot of these things, and probably, as you said earlier, this isn't the only time this has happened where they've paid hush money to a victim. And my biggest concern, apart from the victim safety, which is the biggest deal here, what is this? What is the message we're sending to the young kids in the hockey program here?
Yeah.
We're basically telling them that, hey, the big boys in the office has got your back. Do whatever you want. It's not how it should be. There should be consequences right away for these types of misconduct. And you know what's the saddest part about it is, had these allegations not come to light, all of those perpetrators, whoever they are, and how many actually there might be out there, they're just living life normally right now. And I guarantee you their victims aren't. Like, people are going to say, and they're going to read this article, and they're going to watch this podcast, and they're going to think, oh, well, you know what? 0.5 million is a lot of money. Maybe she should have just stayed quiet and, took the money. Well, you know what? It's not that simple, especially if you've never been through something like this. This type of shit eats away at you. And you mentioned earlier about the Blackhawks scandal with Kyle Beach. It took the man 10 years just to be able to say something because of how traumatizing the experience was. And it's so sad because a lot of people were clowning him for this, saying that, oh, seeking attention, he just wants, his 15 minutes or whatever. And it's fucking appalling that this is some of the first responses we're getting to this stuff. And it's sad because every time it happens and we get these types of reactions where people are just like, oh, why didn't they speak up sooner? Blah, 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 blah. Should have just taken the money. They're not understanding that the trauma here is real, is valid, and is very severe. And not only that, and I touched on this earlier, what message are we sending the kids? And who's to say that this isn't happening to younger kids out there?
Well, exactly.
Not just, and what are we sending to these kids? That, hey, if you don't tell anyone about what we're about to do to you, you're going to be really rich. And then if you're rich, you have a better chance of achieving your dream and reaching the NHL or whatever. It's such horseshit, and I'm glad that we're taking a step in the right direction now, but at the same time, 3 fucking decades? That is way too long for any action like this to take. Yes, it's a step in the right direction, but it is way overdue. And I'm sure you like it, but kudos to the woman who is speaking out about this shit because this shit needs to be brought to light because they can't keep getting away with it. Because the longer this shit goes on, the more people are gonna find it normal, and the more people are gonna suffer. And no amount of hush money in the world would make this shit okay. I don't care what anybody says. There's gonna be people out there who are saying, "Oh, 3.5 million, and she took it, and now she's speaking up. She's just using them." Fuck you guys. You have no idea how traumatizing this shit is. And I'm glad that the entire board stepped down. I get it, but that's not where it should end. These guys need to be held accountable, and further action needs to be taken so that we send a message to everyone else who haven't been caught yet but are guilty of the same shit. That hey, you know, cut the shit now and own up to your actions because this is what's going to happen to you if you don't. So is it a step in the right direction? Yes, but it's not enough. And the fact that it took this long is we're sending the wrong message to not just the young kids who are trying to get into the program, but victims out there throughout those 3 decades that this guy was in power. And who even knows if 1989 is where it started? I bet you it started way before that, even.
And that's what I was actually going to say. I bet you this has been going on for a long time in hockey's history for sure.
Exactly.
And you know what? This isn't even just a hockey thing. This is a sports thing, and I think other leagues should take a look at what's going on here and really start investigating into any like allegations that are being said now, because
Yeah.
this is a real life thing that people have to go through, like you said, and it can be very traumatizing. To You can't just get over it, and $3 million isn't gonna make you get over something like that.
No amount of money.
Some people really do get PTSD off of events like this, and it's very sad and sickening that people even have to go through this. And I just wanted to uh, not restate, but I did say that Scott Smith spent 3 years as CEO. That's actually incorrect.
Yeah.
He was CEO for 3 months, but he spent uh uh 3 decades in Hockey Canada, like working his way to the top. And so basically, with the fallout and how Canada mishandled basically these sexual assault allegations and
Yeah.
these settlements that were paid to these women, it's truly awful that things like that are being swept under the rug. That should never be a thing,
Yeah.
and for anyone that like is watching this and is going through something like this, it's important that you speak out about it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Don't like keep it to yourself. It's important that you talk to someone, or even like the police, and an investigation can be uh like further handled.
And you don't have to start like big right away. I know it's a traumatizing topic, especially if you're an actual victim of this. Start small.
Yeah.
Tell someone, tell the person the most, and then branch out from there. That you shouldn't have to keep quiet, try and protect the identities of these predators because you need to be heard. Like your experience is valid, your trauma is valid. If you're going through something like this, I genuinely hope that eventually you find the strength to speak out about this, because this is not okay. And it's not, like you said, it's not just a hockey thing. This has no place anywhere in the world. And if that offends anybody, I'm not sorry, because if you're offended by that, you're probably one of the perpetrators. So, you know what? I genuinely hope that if you have gone through something like this or are going through something like this, please speak up. You will not be shamed for this. It's wrong for people to shame you for this. This is not something that you should have to deal with, or anyone has to deal with ever. And people who are perpetrating this type of shit need to be held accountable. And they need to learn that these actions have consequences, and it's not just a laughing matter. No amount of money, no amount of settlements can settle this shit. This is real life. You don't fuck with people's. You don't fuck with people's lives,
Yeah.
because this shit messes people's lives.
Into
It's just disgusting, honestly.
it is, and into all the, you know, people who are victims of, you know, whether it's person of color or people who have been sexually assaulted or assaulted in any sports league. You know, when you speak up, your voice is heard. I hope everyone knows that your voice is heard, you know, and the fact that we're having a discussion about it on this podcast is showing that your voice is heard and we hear you. You know what I mean? And please note, as hard of topics that it is to talk about this, it is important that there are discussions and how we can, you know, how we can do better and bridge our way towards, you know, something better of a future in recreation. You know what I mean? So in saying that, you know, it is very hard to transition from something like this, but we are going to get into some NHL news. Yeah. And we're going to start off with a big signing on Friday. Mackenzie Weegar signed 8 years at an AAV of $6.25 million. He's 28 years old. By the time his contract is done, he will be 36. Is this a Calgary dub?
Oh,
$6.25 million for 8 years, and it's a $50 million contract.
You know, when I first saw this on my timeline the other day, my knee-jerk reaction was, it's a bit of an it's too big of a contract, say, lengthwise. The AAV isn't that, I'd say. It's no Erik Karlsson contract, so you know they're fine in that regard. But I don't think 8 is the right term to give him. I wouldn't say he's not good, but I don't think he's elite. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, is he gonna be a first line D-man for this Flames team? I'm gonna assume so, but I don't think 8 years was the right call, especially at 6.25 AAV. But because he's gonna be 36 when he's done, who's gonna want him then? And that's if he doesn't get injured within that time frame. 8 years is a long time.
Yeah. So I'm trying to look at his clause for this contract. And so from 2023 to the end of 2026-7 season, he's gonna have a no trade clause. And I'm guessing M-no trade clause means that there's a 10-team list.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
I think that's what the issue means.
Yeah. And his contract is still going to be 6.25. He does get signing bonuses of $2 million. But his base salary is 4.25 for the next 4 seasons. So it's a good contract in the first 4 years,
Yeah.
and then I think getting into the last 4, if you really like, depending on where his experience is at and his game and how important he is for this Flames team, I think he could be a good trade asset later on in his contract. I think, to be really honest, and the cap is going to be going up in the next 3 years by at least 10 mil. I think this is a Calgary dub. I think it's a Calgary dub. I think Calgary has really been committed to the guys that they're signing now, that they are going to be this team. So Huberdeau, Uyghur, Kadri, and even the coach. Coach has 2 more years, Daryl Sutter. So Calgary dub, in my opinion. It's a little bit of an overpayment now because of how cap restraints are, which I could actually talk about because the Maple Leafs are literally $4 away from being over the cap, and Vancouver is 0. Vancouver used every single dollar, including LTIR. So
You know what? I would agree that it's a Calgary dub actually, but I just don't like the term. Is my deal. I think 6 years would have been enough, but
yeah,
there's a reason why I'm not a GM. So.
yeah. Kyle Dubas does it again. Zach Ashton Reese for $840,630 for 1 year.
Yeah, I'm looking at it right now.
Yeah, I think that's a great signing. Obviously he's going to be on the Leafs for 1 year. He's going to go up and down the third and fourth line. He's kind of a hard-nosed guy who's going to battle on the other team's top 6. And I could see him being a sneaky guy for the Maple Leafs. You know what I mean? Derek Brassard getting a year, $750,000 league min, playing for Ottawa. Nicholas Hague was another interesting one. Contract to Vegas signed him 3 years, 2.294 mil, re-signed. So
that's pretty interesting to me actually. I guess 3 years at almost 2.3 m. It's not bad. I mean, the guy is only 3 years old.
Yeah,
and I think he still has some upside to him actually. And I noticed because I do watch quite a bit of Golden Knights. I'd actually argue that's a exciting for them. A rare one in the last year or so, I'd say. But I like that one. That's one that maybe it wouldn't have been 3 years, but he is only 23, so they're kind of risk free in doing that one.
Yeah. And then finally today we had Derek Stepan signed leagueman 1 year by Carolina, and Michael Stone signed leagueman 1 year by Calgary. So
I think he's returning to Calgary, isn't he? He's played for them before.
Yeah, but I think it says that he was a free agent actually. So, but he did definitely play for the Flames in the past. And I think good signings for these teams. You need depth. Obviously these guys aren't, they're
not elite.
They're not elite depth, but they're depth nonetheless that you need in a playoff run. And Derek Stepan, and Michael Stone, both 32 years old. Stone playing D and Stepan playing the wing. So
the fact that they both got the league men is the dub part here, actually.
Yeah,
I think especially Derek Stepan. I know he's a little bit older, but I think that veteran experience is going to come in handy. Would have still paid him under $1 million, but getting him a league win, that's what makes that a dub for me, because that's just playoff depth right there.
Yeah.
That's really all of the signings. The last podcast. Zach Aston Reese for the Maple Leafs. That's actually pretty good. I believe the last time I saw him was when he was with Pittsburgh. He's going to be a good grinder for you, actually. Might give that Leafs team the grit that they've been missing for a while.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I think I don't want to jump the gun too soon on their lineup, but it is a very deep roster. You know, the fact that Robertson is actually not even starting tomorrow against Montreal. He actually had to get sent down to the AHL for cap compliancy. They were, like I said, they were $4 away, and Robertson played. Or if Robertson plays on Wednesday, then they'll be over the cap and they'll have a cap penalty to deal with.
No one wants that.
But they're kind of waiting on Tavares. He's day to day right now, and it sounds like he's skating with the team. And I think Robertson's gonna get a shot with this team. I think he's NHL ready. There's no doubt in my mind. But Dennis Malgin, that guy had like such an incredible preseason. But I'm also gonna say this: you have to take preseason with a grain of salt, right?
Yeah.
Because what translates in the preseason might not translate in a full 82 game schedule. You know what I mean? And the coach is going to be the one to decide that, because he's going to see this guy play. And I bet you in the first 10 games, if he's not impressed, he's going to be like, no, Robertson's going to be full time with the squad, right? So
yeah,
I could see that happening. Yeah. So injuries, actually no, before injuries, there was one interesting guy that got sent that made it through waivers, and it's actually someone that we talked about already on the stream. Yeah, and it's Wayne Simmons, actually.
Oh yeah.
So because of, you know, the competition and all that, basically Kyle Dubas has made it known to all 31 NHL teams that Wayne Simmons is available for a trade. And you know, Kyle Dubas always wants guys, you know, if they know that they can't stay on the squad, he wants to get him a chance in the NHL. And that is someone who cares about the game.
Yeah.
Dubas, you know what I mean? And Wayne Simmons really cares about wanting to play in the NHL and continue his career. And I think he'll get a shot with another team. I'm surprised that there hasn't been any trades already. I don't think it has anything to do with cap hit because he's under $1 million. But
if be the next person to sign for Leagueman, personally.
But if Simmer decides to stay with the Leafs, I hope that he's gonna get some call ups this year. You know, when the boys need some grit in the lineup. You know,
I think they can do it. I think for sure that especially later in the season, there's going to be teams who are going to be looking for that depth piece, that veteran presence. And Wayne Simmons, man, there's not much better than him when it comes to veteran presence. I mean, he's been in the league how long? He's always been a stand-up guy. You know, a lot of people don't like him, but you know what? He's a player. He's a good player. I consider myself a fan of Wayne Simmons, actually. Obviously, he's not the most dynamic goal-scoring player, but he's a locker room presence, and any team who might need a depth piece, they'll sign the guy for league. And I bet you he would take league min, too, just to continue the career.
Yeah, and you know, Wayne is the guy that gets the boys fired up on the ice with a big fight. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
You know, this Leafs team is not known for being physical, I guess, as you can say. But
yeah,
there's different ways of being physical than just fighting and throwing a big hit. And Wayne kind of brings that old school vibe of like, hey, you can't mess with our guys. You know what I mean? Like, tell me, have you ever seen Matthews or Marner try to take a fight? No.
no. Usually, it would be Philadelphia.
Matthews literally just laughs it off. He's
Yeah,
like, he's like, he's literally like the Joker in that way. Just friggin' maniac Matthews is. Uh, but yeah. And then in terms of injuries, no big reports that I've heard. You heard any big injuries this past week?
not really. Just the ones that were listed day to day.
Yeah.
I can look at the updated list right now, but I really don't think there's anyone that's like major. I'd say. I mean, I'm looking at the injury list for every team right now. I think don't I hate to say it, but Arizona's pretty fucked. Clayton Keller's listed day to day, and Jacob Chikrin is IR.
Yeah.
So other than that, I don't really think anyone here is. Oh, Anthony Duclair for the Panthers is on injured reserve.
Yeah, he's on LTIR, I believe. I
Yeah,
think
on
it's
October
a
10th. Wow.
I believe it's an ankle injury, if I'm correct.
And then, apparently just today, Nico Heischer, also LTIR. Oh, not LTIR, but he is an IR. Injured
Yeah.
reserve. Jonathan Bernier, I'm actually a little bit surprised he's still in the league. um, Philadelphia Flyers. Wow, that they have they have a list. Um, Ryan Ellis expected to miss the entirety of the 22-23 campaign with what could be a career-threatening injury. Oh man,
Wait, with who?
Ryan Ellis.
Oh Lord,
Uh,
man, that's not what
I
you want to
hate having.
hear.
I hate it when I'm reading an injury report and they have the words "could be career-threatening" included. It's like, come on.
Yeah.
You hate to see it because, like, especially for good players like him, like, uh, moving down the line, Seattle, Chris Drieger and Jonas Donskoy and Jaden Schwartz. Jaden Schwartz is listed day to day. According to Dave Haxtell, he wouldn't commit to playing him on Wednesday's regular season opener against Anaheim. So Schwartz will be out for at least the first game. Toronto Maple Leafs. I'm sure you know a lot about this. I think the only noteworthy player here is Timothy Liljegren.
Yeah,
Uh,
I think Engvall is still on the.
uh, LTIR. Is he
Yeah,
LTIR?
yeah, I think he's LTIR right now.
He's not on. He's not on this list right now.
Oh, I don't know.
And then
I haven't really seen Engvall this preseason, so I'm just assuming he's still. I can take a look at cap friendly.
Washington Capitals have a bunch of injuries. Lars Eller and TJ Oshie are both day to day. Carl Hagelin, wow, he's still the Caps. Tom Wilson and Nicholas Backstrom are all in the IR, unfortunately. And for Vegas, it's just one guy. Unfortunately, that one
Oh,
their number one goalie.
um, okay. Well,
Yeah,
apparently Engvall is not injured anymore. He's actually on the opening night
roster.
roster. Yeah,
Hey, that's good news.
yeah.
Shout outs to Edball, man.
Yeah, right now on LTIR for the Leafs is Liljegren and Jordy Ben. And
Yeah.
then there's a lot of guys that are on the season opening injured reserve. 6 guys, but they only make up like $79,000.
That's pretty good if you're considering all things. For the Sharks, there's really no one on LTIR here. They're all just an injured reserve. It's about newly signed Marcus Nudibara, who I was pretty excited about initially, but then I realized that he's also pretty old. I think. Oh, let me see. He's not that old, I guess. Draft 28 years old, but I don't know if he's made of paper at 28. Probably not a good look. Nikolai Knizov, he's. I wouldn't say I'm excited about this guy. He's not really anything special, but like 24 years old. I'd like to see him healthy on the Sharks roster, especially with the scraps that we're working with right now.
Yeah.
And Steve Dangle, I actually watched the San Jose Sharks preview last night on Sportsnet, and yeah, he ripped into the Sharks. That guy, yeah, he said he didn't understand why Barabanov was in our top two lines because I think Barabanov used to be with the Leafs. I think.
Yeah, he was a fourth liner on the Leafs, Barabanov.
Yeah, so he was basically saying, and this isn't his words, but like he was basically saying that the Sharks are pretty down bad if Barabanov
Yeah.
in the line. But listen.
I think it's not
I
about the now for the Sharks. I think it's about rebuilding for the
That's what I was gonna
immediate
say.
future.
We have him on the first line because we are going full tank, baby. We are building all the tank items today, and it's about damn time. And Mike Greer is not playing around. A lot of people are on Facebook are not happy with Mike Greer because the Sharks got beaten Prague. Listen, these are good losses, my friend. The fact that we can look competitive but still take the L without going to OT, this is a good sign. Because if we're tanking but we're competing, like these games are like shit stop, it's a good thing, man. We have a potential to have one of the fastest rebuilds ever if these guys end up blossoming into actual good players. But
Yeah.
like I said, if they are just tank players, I am all for it. Give me Connor Bedard.
Yeah. So yeah, you know what? Speaking of, what was your thoughts on the San Jose and Nashville games in Prague? I thought it was kind of cool that they started off the regular season with the Sharks and the Predators playing in
I
Prague.
I think that's cool as shit. Actually, I'm all for international games, and I'm glad that both games were actually regular season games because I love the preseason, but regular season, when people are actually playing for something, it hits different. So game one, it's pretty much what I expected. San Jose Sharks this year. I think they only had like 19 shots that game. We just pulled that game really, really quickly.
Yeah,
But I'm pretty sure that they were outshot tremendously in that first game.
it was
And then,
4-1 in
yeah,
the score.
and Reimer had to make 28 saves out of 31 shots. And you see Saros. Oh, actually, Saros also stopped 30 shots then. So, okay. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about. Game two, though, it's a lot closer. You know what? Luke Cunnin looks pretty good so far. I'm glad we picked him up in the offseason.
Yeah, he was a good
If,
acquisition.
if Tank Commander Cunnin is what's going to lead us to the promised land, I'm all for it. So, game two, they're a little bit better. They had 33 shots on goal that game, as compared to Nashville's 8. So, Kaapo Kakinen, 3 goals and 18 shots. Not the best, but, like I said, if the Sharks are to tank, I would like it to do it like this, where the games are at least entertaining to watch. If the Sharks are just going to be that team who just gets, 3-goal differential every, then I wouldn't really want to watch. But they look a lot better than how I thought they would look initially, looking at the roster. Oscar Lindblom and Steven Lorenz both getting their first points as Sharks. I'm not going to say I'm excited for this team, but good to know that they're not going to be unwatchable because they don't look as bad as I thought they. I thought they would be on the same level as Chicago and Arizona, honestly.
Yeah.
But they're a little bit better than that, which scares me because I don't want them to reach that point where they're not bad enough to be basement dwellers, but they're also not good enough to be a playoff team. And I would rather that they do not make the playoff. Honestly, guys, as much as it sucks watching your team lose for years, this is necessary. It has to happen because if we just keep squeaking into the playoffs with mediocre rosters, guess what? We're going to become the new Toronto Maple Leafs real quick. And I don't want that. So I just hope that we continue these losing ways. We're going to end up winning games for sure. But tank season, full effect, and I am here for it. I hope we keep it up.
Yeah, and I wanted to say I didn't really get to watch much of the first game, but I got to watch the third period of the second game, and I could really tell that San Jose was trying to make a push to tie the game. Obviously,
Yeah.
Nashville, you got to give credit to their speed and their defense and UC Soros, but the
Yeah.
Sharks were really they were putting it on Nashville.
Yeah.
And I wanted to talk about two players that I noticed from those two games.
Okay.
One, Tomas Hurdle
Yeah.
scoring in his hometown. Like what a celly that was, to celebrate with probably family in the crowd. You know.
Yeah. Good for him, man. He's such a wholesome guy.
Yeah, and it must have been really like cool moment that I'm sure he'll never forget as well. And
Yeah.
Niederreiter, 3 goals in 2 games, dude.
Yeah. He's what killed
Making
us.
making his first impressions on the new club,
Yeah. Good for him, man. And you know what? Going back to the first episode of the podcast, dude, I think Nashville is going to be that wildcard team this year
Yeah.
because they look pretty good. But
Well,
I mean, they played the Sharks, so
you gotta have
probably.
speed, you gotta have defense, and you gotta have some good goaltending to get anywhere in
Yeah.
this league now. And I think Nashville has all three, but do they have the consistency?
Yeah, we're about to
You know,
find out before the end
yeah,
of the season.
because they played 2 games against the Sharks, and I don't want to say anything bad about the Sharks because they definitely had
Right?
some compete, but the Sharks aren't like some of the top teams in the league. You know what I mean?
They're not elite. They're not elite anymore.
Like wait till Nashville has to play the Rangers. Like the Rangers won tonight, 3-1,
Yeah, they look good, man.
and I mean it I think Nashville is gonna make some noise and knock on the door and surprise some people. I don't think they're a cup contender, but who's not to say that Nashville made intentional like reasons to save some cap for the trade deadline where they get the big fish and they go all in. Nashville could be a surprise contender, you
Yeah,
know.
they are still only a few away. So
Yeah. Well, we're in October, and it's hard to really speak on it right now. But Nashville is a team to watch, and yeah, moving on. Actually, I wanted to talk about some teams in month one that maybe are like must watch, and I think Nashville is one. I think the
yeah,
Rangers are another one, and they really showed tonight. I mean that their power play was no joke. Zibanejad with 2 goals. Shesterkin letting only 1 goal in against Tampa
yeah,
Bay. And
yep,
former Lightning Barclay Goodrow scoring on his club too.
yeah. I think Carolina is one of those teams.
Yeah.
They are projected to compete with the Rangers for that number one spot in the Metro.
Uh,
So I think the first month is going to be crucial to how this club does the rest of the season. They did add a couple of pieces in the offseason with Pacioretty and Burns. So it's going to be interesting to watch this club. For the West, and the Colorado, first month's pretty much going to tell you are they in that cup hangover thing?
Yeah.
So Colorado, Edmonton, and Calgary, sure, with all the moves they made, especially Calgary. Other than that, I'd say Seattle too because they look pretty good in the preseason. If Seattle's first month is full, then it's probably going to be, a preview of what's to come for the rest of the season. But I guess those are my teams to watch first one.
Yeah.
Columbus.
Columbus. Yeah. I think Columbus not one of the teams I would say, but I think Columbus, if depending on how their first line generates offense and if they're scoring goals, they could be seen as like one of those teams like, well, we got to watch out for this team. They can kind of be like a sleeper pick to win some games that they maybe shouldn't win.
Yep, exactly it. Those sides, they made a splash in the offseason, so it'd be interesting to see how the first month of that goes.
I think some teams to watch. Personally, this month I want to see if I can catch some Red Wing games. That squad looks a lot different than last year's Red Wings, for sure.
Yeah.
Obviously I'm gonna watch the Maple Leafs. Obviously, Maple Leafs are projected to be a contender, but contender or pretender, Toronto's gonna have a good regular season. You know what I mean? And they're always a team that you want to watch for their amazing highlight reels. Same as Edmonton, I guess. Another team I guess that I will be interested in watching are the LA Kings. A team that did well, not for the reasons of last episode, but I think seeing where they were in the Pacific standings last year, are they gonna continue to trend upwards or are they gonna flop? You know what I mean? And sometimes that happens. The Flyers are a good example of that. Team that would do good one year and flop the next, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I guess those are my picks. Maybe the Jets, maybe. I mean, I'm going to their home opener on Friday, and I'm expecting the Rangers to just spank them up and down the ice. Yeah, honestly. But should still be an entertaining game to go to. And I guess my main teams would be the Kings and the Rangers. And who else did I say? Nashville. Nashville. Yeah. Those are three teams that I would probably keep an eye on. All three teams considered to make the playoffs after this regular season's over with. So yeah. And actually there's another game on tonight. Speaking of the Kings, LA Kings in Vegas. I'll make a prediction tonight. I'm gonna predict that it's gonna be 3-2 LA in overtime.
I'll do you one better. I'm gonna predict LA 4-0.
Oh, 4-0. Oh, look at this guy being a Kings fan. Hey, big Kings fan over here. Hey.
Oh, it sounds so gross.
Oh
it's
god.
Not that I'm a Kings fan. I just don't like Vegas that much.
Yeah. Well, we know the rivalry between the Sharks and the Golden Knights, but
it used to be the Sharks and Kings, but we have a temporary California going because the Sharks are going to be, bottom feeders for a bit.
Yeah. Speaking of, this isn't really a topic that I put on the podcast tonight, but if you could go to see a Sharks game at the Tank, like, would you?
Absolutely.
And which team would you want them to play against? Like a game that Vegas? Uh-huh.
It's either Vegas or LA. Because those are the two biggest rivalries in my time as a Sharks fan.
Yeah.
The Ducks, kind of, but like we're 1-1 in playoff series right now, so
That's fair.
not so much.
Hey, Ducks are on the up and up, dude. They
They
got
are.
some real talent there as
Yeah,
well.
they got a solid D man in the off season too. So
Yeah, you know what? I think I would love to go to Toronto to watch a game. Very expensive, but
yeah,
if I could watch a game there, it would totally be Toronto Montreal. You know, I grew up with that. I remember
yeah,
the Air Canada Center and how electric it was when those two teams hit the ice and just laid it all out. You know what I mean?
yeah.
It's a classic. I've seen both Toronto and Montreal live when they played the Jets here in Winnipeg, and would really enjoy going to watch the Maple Leafs and the Canadians go at it. Just a classic rivalry. And
It'd be much better as the playoff.
yeah, it would be nicer in the playoffs, but I also don't want to remember that. Anyways, we're gonna talk about a game that just came out, NHL 23. Are you excited
Ooh,
to play NHL 23?
if it's out on PS4, then yes.
I believe it is out
Because
on PS4.
not just because I think there's going to be gameplay changes. I think it's just going to the roster. Like it's just going to be better. I love having updated rosters, and I'm looking forward to see what changes they made because there's this meme going around that they just update the roster every year and change the soundtrack. Speaking of the soundtrack, shout out to whoever is in charge of the soundtrack for the NHL 23 for putting A Day to Remember's newest song on. I'm gonna plug my favorite band for him. They're going back to heavy music, and I'm glad because 22's soundtrack, I don't like it. I like it a lot less than NHL 21. The last NHL soundtrack I really enjoyed was 18, and even that was kind of mediocre. But I'm glad that 23 they're going back to their roots, heavy music. I think a lot of NHL players, NHL 2020 players, they are more partial to the heavy music. So I'm glad that we're going back to it. So I'm excited for that. Gameplay wise, I don't really think they changed much. I think they changed a few of the sellies. So it's going to be interesting to see how that pans out. But more than that, I wouldn't say I'm overly excited about it, but I am looking forward to seeing what the changes are. I'm definitely gonna buy it. So
Yeah, I was watching some gameplay on Twitch yesterday. It seems like they really fixed up the poke checking. It's not like quick poke check. It seems like it's a little slower. So you have more time to
yeah,
deke and react to it. It seems like it's a more realistic gameplay in terms of how you score. It seems like you're able to score more from the slot now. Well, not more,
nice.
but a little more, which used to be a problem in past NHL games.
Yeah, because didn't people used to just take big clappers from the point and it would somehow go in, like no
Yeah,
problem?
yeah, basically. But now it's all about the cross crease, you know. Which I mean, in real
Yeah,
NHL, that's what it is about to get goals is the cross crease, which
yeah,
is
like
which is fine.
garbage type of goal, right? So
Dog, you know what they need to bring back? I don't know if you ever played NHL 2003, but there used to be
I did,
yeah.
I did,
So do you
bro.
remember when you could go for a 1T and it would slow down right before the shot, and when you took the shot, it would just like go back to like normal speed and go in, and then they would like do the replay again, and it was really
Yeah,
intense with the music. And the soundtrack for that game is so fucking nostalgic. I love it, dog.
yeah, dude, that was and you know what? The simulation of the playoffs back then was so much faster
Oh
because you
yeah.
can skip straight to the fourth round. You don't have to like simulate every single one of the. I miss that game, dude. Like that game was just so fun.
Yeah, that was one of the first NHL games that I actually got into was '03. This was around the time that I started becoming a hockey fan. And that game has
Yeah.
so much nostalgia for me. It's just crazy. '06 as well. '06 was a goated game. And
I played it because when I first got here, I didn't have any PS2 games that worked because all of my PS2 games were pirated,
yeah.
so they didn't really work here. So
Dude, all you
my
have
cousins
to
gave me a bunch of old games, and NHL 03 was one of them, and oh my god.
yeah, I was gonna say, man, uh the NHL '06 intro was so fucking hype. You had what was it? Le Cavalier going in a shootout against Kippersoft, he did I think was it the not the Forsberg, the Datsu flip?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, against Kippersoft. That's what I remember. I was like, holy shit, this game is so hype.
Dude, for me it was NHL 09 only
Oh
because of
nine
the
was really
soundtrack.
good. Yeah, oh nine had great soundtrack and gameplay.
Dude, they had Kogi and Cambria and Anti Flag in that. Oh man, could not have asked for a better. Like as a kid in middle school, oof, God, I love that soundtrack so much because that was all I listened to back. So like seeing these bands, I was like, yo,
Yeah.
ain't no way, bro, ain't no way. They had Bullet for My Valentine too. Like, dude, look
Yeah.
at this. I'm reading this lineup right now. They had Apocalyptica, Airborne, Avenged Sevenfold,
Yeah, Avenged Sevenfold.
Billy, Billy Talent, Black Tide, Bullet for My Valentine, Coheed and Cambria, from first to last. I'm not even gonna try to pronounce that. Panic at the Disco, Phantom Planet, Protest the Hero. This is what I'm talking about when I say that they're going back to their roots because now NHL 23. Look at this! Look at this band lineup for NHL 23. I mean, "A Day to Remember" is the first song on the game, and I'm just like, bruh, this is such a banger. And
Yeah.
dude, Coheed and Cambria is back in the game. Like we're going full circle here, dude.
Yeah.
Like, Corn is on this list. Oh my god. Yeah, I'm getting this
Yeah.
game.
EA Sports, they might fuck you over in HUT when you get the shit cards, but in terms of music, that's a dub. It's a
Yeah,
big fat dub.
it's been overdue because the last 4 games soundtrack have just been dismal.
Yeah.
Ah,
Well, I'm hoping because I have the PlayStation 5 that
ooh.
it is because it's supposed to be compatible online with both, I think, the PlayStation players and the Xbox players. So I'm
So it should be
hoping,
PS5 and PS4 too.
yeah, so I'm hoping we can get some online games together. Maybe we can stream and play because I love playing NHL. I mean, I haven't
Yeah,
played
why
as much recently, but
not?
I totally get back into it. It's fun. And
Yeah, why not?
yeah, my worry is that I'm gonna get too invested in the hype because I'm a collector at heart. Actually, you know what?
Yeah,
Hold on
I
one
know exactly.
moment. I will show you what I recently just bought.
Okay, okay, he's diving into the rabbit hole, guys. Let's see it. All right, I see you walking away from your stream.
Okay, so yeah, the audio will catch up, but boys and girls,
Oh, oh,
I've almost got the whole base set collected. You don't want to
oh
even
my,
know what I've spent.
oh man.
Dog. I'm missing like 4 cards from the base set.
Yeah,
Oh, you want to know a card that I got so pissed off at pulling though? See if I can
what's
find it.
that?
It is one of the more expensive cards of the set.
Okay,
And I'll take it out of
I'm
the
waiting.
sleeve. I'll take it out of the sleeve. You guys can get
I'm
a
waiting.
good fucking look at this card.
I'm waiting for you to put it up on stream. Oh,
You know how triggered I was when I
oh,
fucking got that card, dude?
oh shot.
That's
Dude.
a $20 card, by the way. Oh, but I was kind of hyped about this one. Dude. These retro jerseys though, of when they, because it's basically when they
Okay, that's
started off. Yeah, right. Obviously, the one I would like to pull is the Matthews. But that's a hard one. I got some good rookie ones too. Got Jeremy Swayman, Drysdale, Jack Quinn, Lucas Raymond, Bunting, Maurice Sider, Cole Caulfield, Jason Robertson. These are some cards that I pulled, dog. I was pretty hyped.
Jason Robertson, huh?
Hey, speaking of who signed, speaking of who re-signed, Jason Robertson, dog. Jason Robertson re-signed, dog. Hail Mary. That's what you call doubling down. That's what you call doubling down, man. Come on. Literally, I'm gonna be honest. I thought Jason Robertson was signed already when I picked him, and I realized he wasn't, and I was like, "Oh, that's not good." And
I
then
would have
he,
laughed so hard if he ended up signing with us, and he would have been like, "Oh no, his
yeah,
numbers, his numbers."
his numbers. But yeah, dude, I love collecting the Timmy's cards. They're basic card sets and whatever, but brings me joy. Actually, I collected the 1920 set, and I really bought all the cards for most of the sets, except the super expensive ones, right? Like the holographic ones.
You
And
bought the individual cards themselves?
yeah, I bought the base set, plus I bought there's like a red base set, so like all the cards are like a red background.
Yeah.
I bought all of like the global series cards.
Fun. That's probably not cheap.
I'll find it. I have it around somewhere.
Sounds like it's a lot, actually.
Okay, so I don't have the actual binder, but this is a binder that I had, and I'll show you some sick pulls. There is one card, however, that I don't have in here that I won from that set. I actually got one of those winner cards where you get a redemption, and it was about a $200 card. It was John Tavares, relic redemption. I fucking freaked out when I got that card. I was like, holy shit. That's like the biggest pull of my life.
You still have it, do you?
I do. It's actually at my mom's place because she moved. Oh, this was my favorite from that year. My favorite set. I don't know if you can see it too well. It's a lot of
waiting for the stream to catch up.
yeah, it's a lot of glare. But basically, these cards have like a transparent background.
Oh yeah, so they're kind of like foils almost.
Yeah, so these ones are called the Clear Cut Phenoms, and I got like McDavid, Marner, Jack Eichel when he was on Buffalo, Liney when he was on Winnipeg. I also have Matthews as well, and Brady Tkachuk when he was a rookie. Matthew Tkachuk when he was a Flame. Yeah, pretty much. And then yeah, my big pull from that year was John Tavares jersey relic or whatever. And I got offered 2 Jets tickets for that card, and I said no. Because those Jets games were Arizona and the Islanders that year, which they were shit. Mind you, I believe the Islanders made it to the Eastern Conference Final in 2020.
Yeah, but that was 2020.
Nope, that was 2019. So yeah,
when you went.
Yeah. So that's some of my card collection. I have a Crosby rookie, Novi rookie from long time ago when I used to collect with my dad. I even have some cards from the McDonald's era. Yeah, dude, I love cards, like just collecting them. Just getting that fucking big pull and like holy shit, like the hype you get.
That's how I am with Pokemon cards, dude. I can't even talk shit.
Yeah. But
But yeah, dude, hockey cards are fucking cool. I just don't have the money to get into it right now.
yeah, it's you gotta definitely have money, but it's a fun little hobby. I don't do it every year. I this year I wanted to do it because I was like, oh, there's gonna be a lot of names that are changing, like big names in terms of the teams that they play with. So I was like,
Yeah,
fuck it, like it's a big year to go for some of these cards that could be worth money, right?
exactly. That's kind of what you get them for, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, I definitely feel person. I love collecting cards, dude. If I could do it all the time, I would.
Yeah. All right, man. Well, that's pretty much all I have for this episode. Is there anything that you want to add before we sign off for this episode?
Just Dowdy's watched. That's it.
Dowdy. Oh, wait. LA scored. Okay, let's see who scored.
I bet you it's Dowdy. I bet you it's Dowdy.
Wait.
I'm willing to bet it's Dowdy. Knowing my luck.
Doesn't even say. Oh, Gabriel Velarde, unassisted.
Unassisted. Woo! Woo! my take is safe. Yeah, fuck you, Drew Dowdy. Is he even playing? Hold on.
Yeah, he should be.
Oh, he is. Like he already has 3 minutes of ice time. All right. Yeah, fuck Drew Dowdy. That's my closing pod. JM, if you watch this podcast, I'm prepared to wear that Dowdy jersey if you win.
Oh my god. That's pretty good. I'm not gonna lie. Also, JM, if you think that you're wearing a Roman Yossi jersey, you're wrong. You ain't wearing. You're gonna wear a player that you don't like, man. Telling you right now.
Damn right.
Telling you. But yeah, that's all.
I bet you we force him to wear a PK Subban jersey.
Oh my god. Okay, well, we're gonna end the episode off here now. I'm excited for NHL being back now. My Maple Leafs are playing back to back. They play Montreal tomorrow, Washington Thursday, and it's gonna be a fun next 5 to 6 months of hockey and talking about it and actually hopefully getting to watch some live games with you guys. We're gonna try to get one game in the month to watch all together online or maybe in person. That would be really cool. And yeah, it's gonna be fun times. So thank you guys for watching. Um, I really do want to emphasize what we talked about at the beginning of this episode again, that if you guys go through something and you feel afraid to speak about it because you're going to be judged, this is a community. This podcast is a community where we're not going to judge, and it's good that you're going to speak out about it, because it's important. Your life is important, just like anybody else's, and it's wrong what some of these people with higher powers do. It's disgusting. And this is how we're going to change the game, by talking about it and making sure that these conversations are heard. So,
yeah.
With that, thank you guys for watching. Please leave a like if you like the video. Please subscribe. And if you can, please share it. It would mean so much to us. All the support that we've already been getting on this podcast, thank you to those who have been supporting. And until next time, peace.
Yeah, have a good one, everybody.